Welcome back to Take Action News, everybody. David Shuster here on this February 16th edition of our show, a special State of the Union edition. And for many, many years, it has been the tradition that the president is followed by a response from the opposite party. This essentially dates back to the days when television had this thing known as the fairness doctrine. The idea was that if you're going to give one politician or one political party a lot of time, you would give at least some time to the opposite political party. So there was Marco Rubio, who was something of a Tea Party darling in the Republican Party, although maybe not so much lately because of his positions on immigration reform. But nonetheless, he is a Tea Party darling. He is also something of a favorite from the Republican establishment, and he was tasked to give the Republican response. And it was a lot of the same old things that we've heard from Republicans through the years. And to give you a flavor of Marco Rubio's State of the Union response, listen to this.
When we point out that no matter how many job-killing laws we pass, our government can't control the weather, he accuses us of wanting dirty water and dirty air. When we suggest we strengthen our safety net programs by giving states more flexibility to manage them, he accuses us of wanting to leave the elderly and the disabled to fend for themselves. And tonight, he even criticized us for refusing to raise taxes to delay military cuts that were his idea in the first place. But his favorite attack of all is that those of us who don't agree with him, that we only care about rich people. Mr. President, I still live in the same working class neighborhood I grew up in. My neighbors aren't millionaires.
Now, it's not that Marco Rubio, it's not that the president thinks that Republicans or that people who are not Republicans think that Republicans only care about rich people. That's not it at all. It's that it seems that Republicans feel like rich people are the way to help everybody else, that if you somehow help rich people, then it all trickles down. And the problem that so many people have is that this trickle-down economic theory simply hasn't worked. But that's not the only thing that you sort of seem to get wrong in the State of the Union speech. There was the idea that, well, it's all government spending that has caused our deficit, when in fact, no, it's the rising cost of health care. It's the economic recession, which were the two driving factors between the higher deficit. And then Daniel Marin's on this issue about the government somehow controlling the weather. That's not what the government or people who are worried about climate change are concerned about.
No, I mean, David, the most ironic part about that spiel was that he was critiquing the president for creating a straw man out of Republican policy and attacking it. And here he was creating a straw man out of Democratic policy on climate change. No one is suggesting that the government controls the weather, but we can create policies and incentives that reduce our carbon output, which effectively mean that we're trapping less heat in the atmosphere, which means that we're reducing climate change. I'd love it if we could control the weather. and maybe that's part of the faith-based component of the sort of the Republican platform. But again, really just sort of ironic there. Again, he's sort of charming. He has a Latino background, admittedly not sort of, as a Cuban, not the same experience as many other Latinos in this country. But it's the same old positions. You can be as charming and as different as you want, but it's the same old positions. And in fact, Josh Barrow from Bloomberg View is someone that I recommend that everybody read, because he's one of these kind of self-identified Republicans who is extremely independent and considers it a real problem in this country that working and middle-class people aren't seeing their share of income, aren't seeing their wages rise, are struggling to get by in the economy. And he basically said there was nothing new here. There was no acknowledgement that if you don't want there to be dramatic government intervention to help poor middle-class people move up, then you got to have a viable alternative. And none of these sort of so-called private sector solutions, whether it's giving people more skin in the game in the healthcare system, or privatizing education or Social Security, none of these things, not only do they not have a record, in many cases they've been proven to be ineffective. And I think that what we're really seeing is that Republicans still have not yet, they need to do the kind of reckoning where they actually kind of totally re-examine their fundamental ideas. Because if they suddenly start to see it as a problem, that the so-called that the free market economy is distributing wages upward and concentrating them there, and that's actually a problem, that they acknowledge that that's a problem, and that you need to find ways to reduce that and to enhance people's ability to get a share of the wealth of the productivity, then you could see some movement. But until they even identify that question, I just don't see it.
Well, and they don't seem to see the role that government has had in helping themselves. I mean, Marco Rubio was benefited through college loans and through Social Security, through government programs. And here he is trying to sort of either get rid of them or privatize them and deny the same opportunity for other Americans to get a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up through some government help. He got that, and it worked for him. And why you would want to sort of suddenly pull the ladder up from behind you is baffling to me.